Everyone wants to be happier, richer, loved, respected. And that's the problem. The more you chase a better life, the more you remind yourself that your current one isn't enough. The more you try to be positive, the more you reinforce the fact that you're not. That's the paradox. The more you try, the worse you feel. Why? Because trying says, I'm not there yet. This is where Mark Manson flips the table. He tells you to stop giving a f***. Not in the careless, reckless way, but in the focused, intentional way. Because when you care about everything, you care about nothing deeply. And when you try too hard, you signal to yourself that you're failing. There's a story that sums this up. Charles Bukowski was a drunk, a womanizer, and a failed writer. Yet when he finally made it, his tombstone read, "Don't try." Manson uses this to make the point Bukowski didn't try to be better. He just wrote, messily, painfully, without pretending. And somehow, that worked. The goal here isn't to avoid effort, it's to stop chasing things just to feel valuable. Self-improvement has become a trap. We scroll through motivation videos, sign up for masterminds, watch top 10 productivity hacks, not to grow, but to avoid the fear that we're not enough. That if we stop optimizing, we'll fall behind. But here's the brutal truth. The people who truly change their lives aren't obsessed with change. They're grounded in reality. They accept the discomfort, they accept their flaws, and then they act. Not to impress, not to fix some imaginary broken version of themselves, but to live. Manson isn't selling apathy. He's calling out obsession. He's saying, stop giving a f*** about the things that don't matter. Being liked, being perfect, being the smartest person in the room. Instead, give a f*** about what actually moves your life forward. Honesty, responsibility, integrity. Pain that teaches, failing that builds. When you let go of the pressure to be more, you make room to be real. And being real beats impressive every time.
Chapter 2. Happiness is a problem. Everyone wants to be happy, but no one wants to feel pain. That's the contradiction. Mark Manson doesn't sugarcoat it. Happiness isn't what you think it is. It's not constant smiles, perfect mornings, or finally reaching some magical level of success where problems disappear. It's struggle. It's effort. It's meaning. Happiness comes from solving problems, not avoiding them. Most people are chasing an illusion. They think if they make more money, find the right partner, build the perfect routine, then life will feel right. But life doesn't work that way. The truth? Problems don't go away. They just change form. And your happiness depends on how you face them. It's not about having no problems. It's about having better problems. Your current job sucks? That's a problem. But starting a business? That's a better one. Scarier, sure, but more meaningful. Being single and lonely? That's tough. Being in a relationship where you grow together? Still tough, just worth it. You don't eliminate suffering, you choose the flavor. Pain is inevitable. What matters is whether it feels like a sacrifice or an investment. And that's where most people get it wrong. They think struggle means something's wrong, that discomfort is a sign to stop. But Manson says it clearly. Growth lives inside discomfort. If you're not hurting a little, you're not doing anything that matters. And here's where happiness actually begins. When you stop wishing for an easy life and start embracing a meaningful one. When you stop numbing every uncomfortable feeling and start letting pain shape your values. Think of it like the gym. You don't build strength by lifting feathers. You build it by choosing resistance. And it hurts, but in the right way. Life is the same. Every great life is built on the back of hard choices and hard lessons. Happiness doesn't come from escaping the pain. It comes from knowing why it's worth enduring. The people who are truly fulfilled aren't the ones with perfect lives. They're the ones with powerful reasons. So don't run from problems. Pick better ones. Face them with purpose and find your version of happiness, not in escape, but in effort. Because happiness isn't a finish line. It's the battle you're willing to fight.
Chapter 3. You are not special. We live in a world where everyone's told they're special, unique, extraordinary, destined for greatness. But here's the truth most people don't want to hear. You're not. And that's not an insult. It's a relief. Mark Manson calls out the entitlement culture head-on. This modern idea that just because you're alive, you deserve to feel amazing, do amazing things, and never be criticized. It sounds empowering, but it's a trap. When you believe you're exceptional by default, you start expecting life to cater to you. And when it doesn't, when you fail, get rejected, or struggle, you feel broken. But you're not broken. You're just normal. And that's the point. Being average isn't something to fear, it's something to embrace. Because once you stop trying to prove you're special, you can finally start doing things that actually matter. Not to impress, not to be seen, but because they mean something to you. When you accept you're not above pain, failure, or effort, you start building real strength. Manson says growth begins when we drop the illusion that we're owed something. The world doesn't care about your potential, it responds to your action. And that's where power comes from. Not in thinking you're different, but in doing what most people won't. Everyone wants the rewards, few want the process. Everyone wants the recognition, few want the grind. And that's why humility is a superpower. When you accept your place, not as a victim or a star, but as a human, you finally free yourself to focus on what you can control. Your values, your habits, your choices. You stop chasing attention and start chasing mastery. You stop needing to be right and start needing to grow. So stop waiting to feel special. You don't need to be special to live a meaningful life. You just need to be honest, consistent, real. That's where confidence is born. That's where purpose starts. And ironically, that's what makes you truly rare. Chapter 4. The Value of Suffering. Here's the truth no one wants to face. Life is suffering. It's not a glitch in the system, it is the system. But instead of avoiding pain, Mark Manson says we need to choose it. Not all suffering is the same. Some pain is pointless, like arguing on the internet or obsessing over someone else's life. But some pain is powerful, like building something meaningful, standing up for what matters, or getting better at your craft. You don't get to avoid pain. You only get to decide what it's for. Most people suffer over the wrong things. They stress about likes, status, petty drama, things that offer zero return on their sacrifice. But growth, fulfillment, self-respect, those come from suffering on purpose, from choosing your problems instead of running from them. There's no such thing as a life without struggle. The only question is whether yours is worth it. If you're gonna suffer, suffer for something that makes you proud. We often think freedom is doing whatever we want, but real freedom is choosing what you're willing to endure. Pain becomes bearable when it's tied to purpose. It becomes strength. Just look at anyone you admire. Artists, athletes, entrepreneurs, they've all traded comfort for meaning. They picked their suffering, and because of that, they're free. Manson doesn't romanticize hardship, but he strips away the illusion that life is supposed to feel good all the time. It's not. Life's about finding what's worth hurting for. If you care about your health, you'll endure the gym. If you care about love, you'll work through conflict. If you care about growth, you'll push through fear. And if you don't pick your pain, the world will pick it for you, and it won't be kind. So stop chasing comfort. Chase clarity. Chase something that demands effort. Because the goal isn't to suffer less. The goal is to suffer better. Chapter 5. You are always choosing. Every second, whether you realize it or not, you are making a choice. What to care about, what to ignore, what to pursue, what to tolerate. And Mark Manson's message is brutally clear. Even when life screws you over, it's still on you to choose how to respond. This isn't about blaming yourself for everything that happens. It's about owning what you do next. You can't always control what happens to you, but you always control the meaning you assign to it. That's where your power is. People waste years feeling stuck, as if they're trapped by circumstance. But what they're really trapped by is the refusal to choose, to take ownership. Responsibility is not the same as fault. Fault looks back. Responsibility moves forward. You didn't ask for the breakup, the layoff, the failure, but you still decide what story you write with it. And if you don't own that story, someone else will. Every complaint, every excuse, every time you wait for life to change, you're giving away your choice. Manson reminds us that even not choosing is a choice. Even silence is a voice. So if you're suffering, stuck, or spiraling, ask yourself, what am I choosing right now? What am I choosing to believe, to tolerate, to prioritize? And more importantly, is it worth it? Most people avoid these questions because they're uncomfortable, but discomfort is the door to freedom. The moment you stop waiting to feel ready and start taking responsibility, your life begins to change, slowly, then suddenly. No one's coming to fix it for you, but you don't need rescuing. You need clarity. You need to stop outsourcing your power, because the strongest people aren't the ones who had perfect lives. They're the ones who refuse to let life choose for them. If your situation sucks, own your role in it. And if you had no role in creating it, own your response. That's how you take control. That's how you grow. That's how you stop reacting and start deciding.
Chapter 6. You're wrong about everything, but so am I. The most dangerous thing you can believe is that you're right about everything. Mark Manson flips the script. Confidence isn't about certainty, it's about being willing to admit when you're wrong. That's not weakness, that's power. Because the truth is, most of what we believe today, we'll look back on and cringe. We evolve, we adapt, we change our minds, and that's healthy. The people who never admit they're wrong are the ones who never grow. They cling to outdated beliefs, bad habits, and false pride, all to protect an ego too fragile to face reality. But real growth begins when you start asking, what if I'm wrong? Not as an attack on your identity, but as a path to deeper understanding. Manson pushes us to challenge our assumptions about success, about love, about what we think we deserve. Because most of the time, our problems come not from reality, but from the story we tell ourselves about it. If that story is rigid, defensive, or built on shaky logic, your whole life becomes a house of cards. But if you stay open, flexible, curious, you build something that lasts. Being wrong is not the end, it's the beginning. It's a sign that you're learning, questioning, evolving. And that's way more powerful than pretending to have all the answers. Manson reminds us that humility is the path to mastery, that admitting you don't know is what opens the door to real insight. You don't have to be right to be worthy. You don't have to have all the answers to take action. You just have to be willing to update your beliefs when better ones show up. So let go of being right. Embrace being real. Because the most dangerous beliefs are the ones we refuse to question. And the smartest people aren't the ones who talk the most, they're the ones who listen the hardest. Chapter 7. Failure is the way forward. Everybody wants success, but nobody wants the price that comes with it. Mark Manson says that price is failure, and not just once, but over and over. The people who win aren't the ones who avoid failing, they're the ones who get really good at it. Failure isn't the enemy, it's the process. The idea that you can get things right the first time is an illusion built by comfort addicts. If you're scared of failing, you're scared of learning. And if you're scared of learning, you're stuck. Growth only happens when you risk getting it wrong. That's how you build the muscle of resilience. And every great story, every breakthrough,
Every transformation, it all starts with someone getting punched in the face by reality and deciding to keep going anyway. Manson reminds us that action isn't the result of motivation, it's the cause of it. Don't wait until you feel ready. Act first. Let the process build your momentum. Because clarity doesn't come from sitting still. It comes from trying, messing up, and trying again. The biggest myth in personal development is that success is about being fearless. It's not. It's about being willing. Willing to look dumb. Willing to fall down. Willing to be seen failing. Because failure is feedback. It shows you where to aim next. It sharpens your skill. It builds your character. And the sooner you accept it, the faster you improve. Most people quit not because they failed, but because they expected not to. And when things didn't go perfectly, they panicked. But perfection is a trap. It's the enemy of progress. If you want to grow, fall in love with the mess. Embrace the awkward. Laugh at your mistakes. And understand that every stumble is just one more step toward mastery. You don't rise by avoiding failure. You rise by stacking it, learning from it, and using it to fuel your next move.
Chapter 8. The Importance of Saying No. You can't care about everything, and the moment you try to, you lose yourself. Mark Manson makes it clear. Clarity in life comes from commitment, and commitment demands saying no. Not maybe, not I'll see, no. Every yes you give is a no to something else, and most people are miserable not because they don't have enough options, but because they refuse to choose. Saying no is scary. It means shutting doors. It means narrowing your focus. But that's exactly where meaning comes from. Meaning comes from depth, not breadth. The more things you say no to, the more powerful your yes becomes. Think of your time, your attention, your care as currency. Spend it recklessly, and you end up bankrupt. Spend it with intention, and your life becomes rich with purpose. Most of us avoid saying no because we want to keep our options open. But options are cheap. Depth is rare. When you say yes to everything, nothing matters. When you say yes to what actually matters, everything changes. Manson argues that real freedom isn't about doing whatever you want. It's about choosing what to give your F to. And choosing means cutting out what doesn't fit. That toxic friendship? No. That goal you don't actually care about? No. That outdated belief that's holding you back? No. Every powerful person you admire became that way by deciding what to walk away from. Boundaries aren't walls, they're filters. And the more clearly you draw them, the better your life gets. So if you want peace, purpose, and progress, stop apologizing for your no. Stand in it. Own it. Protect it. Because the truth is, every no is just a louder, more honest yes to yourself. Chapter 9. And then you die. Death is the final clarity, the ultimate reset button. And Mark Manson doesn't sugarcoat it. You're going to die. That fact alone should change how you live. Most people spend their days acting like they'll live forever, chasing validation, holding grudges, fearing change. But when you confront your mortality, everything petty starts to fall away. The question is no longer, what do I want to do someday? It's what truly matters now. Death forces urgency. It strips away the noise. When you realize your time is finite, your priorities sharpen. You stop wasting energy on things that don't move you forward. You stop giving your care to people and problems that won't even cross your mind on your final day. You start to see life as it is, temporary, fragile, precious. And that makes your actions today matter even more. Manson uses death not as a downer, but as a lens. It helps you live with purpose, not panic. Because once you accept that death is coming, You also accept that meaning is something you have to create, not inherit, not stumble upon, build. You're not entitled to a meaningful life. You earn it, one intentional choice at a time. And the things that truly make life worth living, love, growth, impact, don't come from avoiding pain, they come from embracing it, from leaning in, from choosing what to care about deeply, knowing that none of it is guaranteed tomorrow. In the end, you don't get to choose how you die, but you do get to choose how you live. So the final message is simple. Give your limited Fs wisely, because you only get so many. And then, you're gone.